Welcome to the lecture series of computer programming. Today's topic we are going to see about the array. So what do you mean by array? Means array is a data structure which is used to store primitive data types. So primitive data types in the sense, let me take int, character, float, double, these are all called primitive data types. So array is a can call it as a data structure which is used to store a n number of variables which comes under similar data types. So let you take integer array means it is used to store integer values. If you take a character array means it is used to store character values. So by creating a single variable you can store n number of values which comes under the same data types. So mainly array is used for storing the variables. So arrays can have a different data types. Arrays can have a different types. So let me see what are all that. So first one is one dimensional array and two dimensional array. So in one dimensional array can have a single dimension. So it is called as a one dimensional array. So this is the structure of single dimensional array. So when you take a single dimensional array, so I already told array is used to store a values which is under same data types. So here we are storing the values like, so these are called values 2, 8, 7, 6, 0. These are called values. So we are storing the values which are under same data types. So here num is a variable, it can store the values. So now see the variable declaration of array. Int marks of 10. So marks of 10. So mark is a variable, int is a array data type and marks is a array name. This 10 refers to the size of an array. So size of an array refers the which can able to hold 10 values, in the variable marks. So it should be mentioned in the square bracket. So the array declaration is similar to other declarations, so we have to terminate by using semicolons. So let me see the structure of the array which hold 10 values. So first we have to draw a array structure. It starts from the array is stored in the form of index by using index name. So index means it is like a memory. It is used to store or access the value by using index value only. So let me see. Here I am going to store value of 10 marks in this index. So here we mentioned the size of an array as 10. So it starts from every array starts from index 0. So here our data size is 10. So our index value is in any array is index value starts from 0. So our index value starts from 0 means 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 up to 9. So this index value hold the 10 values. So let me store elements like 30, 40, 80, 90. So let me see. So these are all the 10 values we are storing in an array format structures. So if you want to access the particular value by using a index element of an array. So let me see. If you want to access an element of 30 means you have to use mark variable name, then mention the index. This is the index point, index value or point. So marks of 0 refers the value 30. If you want to access 80 means marks of 2. If you want to access 85 means marks of 7. So likewise you can access any values by using a index element of an array. So let me see another example. So here we draw structure of an array. How to declare an array in C means, let me see, int. So here our variable name is num. So how many values is storing? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So our size of a array is 5. So this refers to the initialization of an array. The array name is num and the size of an array is 5. So it is able to hold 5 values. But if you want to declare a value in array means by using variable name equal to $20, $30. So likewise you can declare a values. So by using while declaring a values you have to use floor base. So inside the floor base you have to declare a values, each and every values by separating commas. At last you have to terminate by semicolon. So let me see the program for this. So now let we see the program, C program for marks of 5 subjects. Now I am going to declare a array value. First you have to use library functions and all. Void main. So in this I am going to declare a marks which contains 5 subject marks. So mark is a integer data type. So int marks of 5. So in this variable declaration I am going to define a value. So it stores the 5 values. So I am directly giving the values here. So now I stored 5 values in the variable marks. So instead of giving 5 variables, 5 separate variable by using array, I can give the 5 values in same variables. That is the main purpose of an array. Now I am going to print the values by using a printf statement. So printf, so mark 1 %d. You can also give a subject name also, comma. So I am going to access a value by using a index. So marks of 0. Next printf statement, for example physics mark. So it marks of 1. So it accesses the value 85. Next printf chemistry, marks of 2. So it accesses the value 95. Printf, for example max, marks of 3, it accesses the value 55. Next printf for example biology or computer science, anything, marks of 4, it accesses the value 78. So the output of the program will be the mark 1. So mark of 0 represent the 70. Next physics, marks of 1 represent 85. Next chemistry, marks of 2 represent 95. Next max mark, this statement prints max and marks of 3 represent 55. Then biology, marks of 4 represent 78. So this is the explanation of a single dimensional array. So it is not a problem if you having a less number of values by using a if you having a less number of values by using printf statement, you can access the value. In case if you have more than 10 values or 100 values, it is very difficult to process the, or it is very difficult to access the values by using a in printf statement itself. So in that case you can use looping concept. The same program I am going to print the value by using a for loop. Hash include studio.h void main. So I am going to declare a marks of 20 subject. If we want to print the value of 20 subject means, so here I give 20 values in the variable marks. If we want to access these values without using for loop, you have to write inside a printf statement. By if you want to access every values by using an index element, for example marks of 0, marks of 1, up to 20 times you have to write. So in that case I am going to reduce the size of the program by using the for loop statement. So by using for I equal to, before that declare a I int I equal to 0. So how many values I need to display this? So here I am having a 20 values. The for loop should works up to 20 loops. So here I have to give a condition like I less than 20. So because it starts from 0. So 0 to 19 access 20 values. So if you starts from 1, for I equal to 1, you have to write a condition like I less than or equal to 20. So here my I value starts from 0, it continues up to 19, so it will do the process up to 20. So it's more than enough. I equal to 0, I less than 20. This is initialization, condition and increment. So now this for loop works until the condition get false. So my condition get false when I value is 20. So it will works up to 20 loops, right? So now I am going to print each and every value in the variable marks. So printf subject. So I am going to specify the subject 1, subject 2, subject 3 like that. So for that %d equal to %d. So this %d represent I. So if you have, for example, subject of 0, then subject of 1 like that. So comma, this %d represent marks. So marks of, so every time the index value should update. So here I have to use I. So for at first stage I value will be 0. So marks of 0 would represent the value 18. Then it will do the next process and I value will be increment. Then it comes to the statement, come to the statement, I value will incremented as 1. So marks of 1 which represent the value 85. So likewise it will increment. So I am using a value I. This is for new line character. So this program will return output as subject 0 equal to 80. Subject, if you want to print subject of 1 to likewise means just you can change the value. So int j equal to 1. So now I am going to use the value j. So after using this, you increment the value j. So now it will change to subject 1, subject 2, then subject 3, mark will be 83, up to it will print 20 subject. So subject 20 equal to 60. So up to this it print a values. So by using a single statement I am accessing all values by using only one and only for loops. So this is the output of the array. So next topic we are going to see about the two-dimensional array. So two-dimensional array, when you see the single dimensional array, the size will be represented in single square bracket. For example, int marks of size 10. So the size will be represented as single dimensional array. So in two-dimensional array, the array structure is stored in the form of rows and columns. Remember a table. So table structure will be contains rows and columns. If you have 3 rows, 2 columns means it will store how many data. For example, if you have 5 rows, 5 columns, it will store how many data. The same concept we are applying in two-dimensional array structures. So let me see the structure of an array. So in two-dimensional array structure, I already told it's stored in the form of table. This represent rows and this represent columns. For it, the two-dimensional array, it contains the two structure. First, this one represent the row, this one represent the columns. So let take int marks of size 3 and size 4. So here this one is a data type and this one is a variable, array variable. This is array variable, and this two represent, the compiler will understand it as a two-dimensional array, and it will store the values in the form of tables, in the form of table like this, and it will store how many value means, for example 3 rows and 4 columns. So 3 into 4 it will 12 values. So it will stores the 12 values. So here the compiler will understand mark is a two-dimensional array and it will store 12 values. So let me see. So the values will stored in form of array structure like this. For example, the first row and first column, the index value, the same thing in single dimensional array also we are using index concept. Here also we are using index concept. By using index value only we are going to accessing the array values. So in first, this represent the first cell, it means first row and first column. So the index value will be 0th row, 0th row and 0th column. Then next one goes to, this is 0th row, so 0th row first column. Then next cell goes to same 0th row second column. So likewise it will come to next row. Here this one represent rows. So which row it will present? So first row and 0th column. Then this one first row first column. Then this one first row second column. So likewise index element will allocated for each and every cell. So let me declare a value in array structure. So take this example. So here int num 3 of 4. So here num is a variable which hold 12 values, because 3 into 4 12 values. So our array structure will be like that. So 3 rows and 4 columns. So it starts from 0 1 2 0 1 2 3. So this represent column, this represent row. So if you want to access, these are all values. So 1 2 3 4, these are all values of the array. If you want to access this one element by using a index value, so the index value will be num of 0 0. If you want to access 2 means, so 0th row first column, so num of 0, 1. Then this, if you want to access 12 means, so second row, third column. So num of 2, 3. So likewise, you can access the values by using a row index and column index. So let me see the program for this. First I am going to declare a two-dimensional array. So int, same I am going to declare a marks. So here 4 of 4. So how here 4 row 4 columns. Our structure will be 4 rows 4 columns. So this represent rows and this represent columns. So here I can able to store 16 elements because 4 rows and 4 columns. So 4 into 4, 16 values. I can able to store 16 values. So for example 40, 30, 60, 10. So here I stored these values in the array element. If you want to declare these values, this is only for understanding purpose. This structure is only for understanding purpose. Our C programming stores a value like this. The same concept as like in a single dimensional array. You have to open the flower base, then you have to give the values. Here it can store 16 values. So directly I am giving a 16 values. So I am directly giving 16 values, then at last you have to terminate. So next thing, I am going to access these values by using for loop, because instead of using for loop, you can also access the element directly by using printf statement. But if you want to access all 16 value means you have to write n number of lines. So by reducing that, I am going to write using a for loop. So in single dimensional array, this array structure will be like this. For example, 4 rows means it will hold 4 values. So in the case, I can use the condition which will operate the 4 loops. So single for loop is enough to represent the single dimensional array. But in the case of two dimensional array, you have to use 2 for loop. That should be a nested for loop. So first one is for row, second one is for column. So I will explain how it will work. So here it's having a 4 rows and 4 columns. The data will store. So I am using, for easy accessing, I am using 1, 2, 3 itself. So here the values stored in the index values, right? It likes 0. For 0, 0 the value will be 1. For 0, 1 the value will be 2. So likewise, so if I want to print this values, my index value format should be 0, 0 represent 1. This 0, 1 represent 2, and next this value represent 3, and next this value represent 0, 4. So this is the first row, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. The values of the first row is indicated. So next I am going to display the second row. So in that case, I have to mention the index value of row will be 1 and this will be 0. So 1, 0 represent the value 5. So next 1, 1 represent the value 6. Next 1, 2 represent the value 7. So likewise it will increment. So 1, 3 represent the value 8. So this now the second row will completed. So this one represent first row, this one represent second row. Now I am going to move to third row. So third row, so row will be 2, column will be 1, the value will be 9. Next row will be 2, column will be 1, the value will be 10. So likewise it goes on like this. So the compiler read the data in the form of like first row, second row, third row. Likewise the compiler will read the data. So in this format we have to write the for loop. So now let's see, these are all rows, these are all columns. For accessing this we have two for loops. So this one represent rows, this one represent rows, columns. So these two for loops should be nested inside. So now I am writing this. So first I have to use two for loop. One is for rows and another one is for columns. So first for loop represent the rows. So how many rows I am having? 4 rows I am having. So my I value starts from 0. So it should go with I less than 3. Sorry, I less than 4 is more. So it will do the operation 0, 1, 2, 3. So the 4 rows will be covered. So I value is less than 4, I plus plus. So after that I have to write the for loop for column. So I equal to, so I am using j value, j equal to 0. So before that you have to declare these two variables, that should be very important. Then next for loop represent, this for loop represent rows and this one represent the column. So I am going to use j value. So here also I am having a 4 columns. So my condition j less than 4, then j plus plus. So this one satisfies rows, this one satisfies column. So now I am going to print the values. So how you print the values? I have to use the index element of the variable. So by using index element I am going to access these values. The same concept as we seen in single dimensional array. For example, marks are why I am using here means, for your understanding purpose I am going to access the value by displaying with index element. So here this %d represent row of accessing, this %d represent column of accessing, and this %d represent values. So here I am going to access values. So first, so this represent the column, so this represent the rows, so it will represent the first for loop. So first for loop we have a data like I, then next one is j. So marks of ij will access the value, each and every value in which is stored in an array. So in first iteration, next I am going to print this is for new line character. So first let me see the iteration for this. So first I value will be 0, then it will check the condition I less than 4, the condition will be true. When the condition is true, it will enter into the for loop. So when the compiler sees it has another for loop, so it will come from initialization again, j equal to 0 and j less than 4. So 0 less than 4, the condition will be true and it enter into this loop. So when you enter into this loop, so it will print the value as marks of So first percentage d represent I. So I value will be initially 0. Then next percentage d represent j. So j value will be 0. So it will display like this. Then equal to, and this percentage d represent the value of the array. So marks of ij represent, so I 0 0. So marks of 0 0. What is the value stored in the index value? 40. So the value will be displayed as 40. So first is over. Then it comes to this increment j plus plus. J value will be 1. So 1 less than 4, the condition will be true. When the condition is true, it enter into the loop. Then it will print the format like this. So now the I value will be same. J value will incremented by 1. So 1. So 0 1. So 0 1, the value will be 30. Next it will, j value will incremented and check 2 less than 4, condition true, and it will enter into the loop. So same I value will be same and it will print the j value as 2. So 0 2, the value will be 60. So next repeat the process. So I value will be 0, j value will be 3. So 0 3, the value will be 10. Then after that, when the j value is 3, it will come to this j plus plus, it will increment the value by 1. So 3 4, the value will be 4. Then 4 less than 4, the condition false, then it will come out of the loop. So when the condition, when it come out of the loop, only when the I value will be incremented. So when you use nested for loop, first it will do the process of the inner for loop until the condition get false. After the inner for loop over, then only it will do the increment of the I. So next process, I value will be incremented by 1 and it will check the condition 1 less than 4, the condition will be true, and it will enter into the loop. Again j value will be 0, it starts from new process, j value will be 0, 0 less than 4, the condition will be true and it will enter. So now same process will repeat it. Now I value will be 1 and j value will be 0. So in access the value like this. So up to it will access value. So marks of 3 3. So it will access the value up to 85. So by using for loop, we can access the array values. Thank you for watching this video.